What's up everyone, it's Obi-Wan here, and today I want to give a quick review of the Retroid Pocket Classic and what systems and games play well on this device. As soon as you take this out of the box, you can feel the nostalgia mixed with the modern upgrades. This is a vertical handheld designed somewhat like a Game Boy Color, with a surprisingly powerful chipset that plays up to GameCube and PS2, all bundled behind this 4-inch 31 by 27 aspect ratio OLED touchscreen. So almost a square and essentially a 1080p screen. When playing consoles that do not require a joystick input, you really cannot do any better than the Retroid Pocket Classic in my opinion. This device looks very similar to a Game Boy Color at first glance, but it is a far better experience than playing the Game Boy Color today. The buttons are tactile and give a satisfying click that lets you know the input has registered. It is quite a bit louder than the original Game Boy, but I'd say the trade-off is worth it. This is also not the first device with the square screen to come out. The R36S Max offers a similar screen, but none of the performance or premium button quality. The RG Cube XX is a better comparison, and I'd argue is Anbernic's greatest success thus far, but still it pales in comparison to the Retroid Pocket Classic. I plan to do a video on the RG Cube XX, and for half the price of the RP Classic, I'd say you get about 60% of the utility. Newly on Linux is a great streamlined experience, so for a beginner, I may even recommend the RG Cube XX over the Classic, but you will be missing out on the premium experience. The R36S Max is kind of terrible to use. This meaningless spinning soccer ball in the middle of it kind of sums up the device when compared to the Classic. Really, there is no comparison between these two, so let's find out what games can take advantage of the new Retroid Pocket Classic and how they look in action and get right into the gameplay footage. First and foremost, Game Boy on this device feels amazing. Also, it sounds amazing. With the piss poor speakers on the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, I was worried, but I shouldn't have been. I'm actually annoyed that Retroid had these speakers available but didn't put two of them into the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. Just a stupid choice in my opinion. You guys remember stealing from this shop owner? You do get renamed Thief for being a shitbag, and then he does straight up murder you the next time you go into the shop, but it's totally worth it. Normally I skip right through Game Boy because every device can play these games and it always looks kind of crappy. But this device breathes new life into these games with the familiar form factor combined with modern luxury. I really thought I had played Tetris 2 before, but I didn't recognize any of these shapes and color. What the hell is going on here? I wasn't sure. I had no idea what was going on. I really thought I was going to lose, but then I threw a Hail Mary with the long pole piece. And I started to understand, okay, not only do you have to fit these into each other like Tetris, but you have to match up the shapes and colors, and I ended up winning. Wow. I love this game. Maybe it's the handheld. International Karate, this game is a lot of fun. You can tell the difference between regular Game Boy games that have been colorized and then native color Game Boy Color games. They look really great. It fills up the entire screen. This game is a little confusing. Not sure I knew exactly what was going on, but I won. And these little mini games in between the bouts is way more fun. What more do you want? You get to be Afro Samurai bouncing balls around. Shadowgate Classic. Now this is one of the old school games where it's, with the limitations of the technology they had at the time, it's kind of an open world where you can do quote unquote anything. Very quickly you realize that pretty much everything you do just kills you, so it really just ends up being a trial and error. But it's still really cool seeing how much game they were able to pack into these devices with all the limitations that they were operating within. I died quite a bit. Still lots of fun. Windy Every Which Way. I never got to play this. This came out near the end of the life of the Game Boy. God, it's just such a good game. The gameplay's tons of fun. You play around with gravity. You walk around on both the ceiling and the floor. The graphics are great. The sound is great. The challenges are satisfying to overcome. Some of the enemies you have to use your gravity tricks in order to defeat them. Amazing game. NBA Jam, I remember playing this when I was a kid, but I didn't remember that. I feel like this game doesn't allow the white guys to dunk. Like, what's going on here? There we go. He can well, he missed. Man, look at what are you doing? Dunk it. I guess you have to hold the turbo button, which is R1 or L1 in this game. Finally get that dunk off. I got my ass kicked. Sparkster or Rocket Knight. This is the game where you're the little squirrel monkey thing with a rocket on its back. I do remember renting this game from Mr. Movies for 99 cents for a 2-day rental. This game, I don't know, it's not great, but the graphics were definitely very impressive back in the day. And there is a good amount of challenge to this game. If you really like a challenging platform action game, lots of nostalgia here. I did finally decide to move to the uncorrected Super Nintendo screen ratio so I could, damn it, God, Mario sucks. So I could take up the full screen here, and it just looks outstanding. I wasn't a huge fan of this game with the new spinny jump and then Yoshi running around, and he's the worst trained pet in the world. Why is he still running? I didn't think Mario really needed all these gimmicks, but now that I'm playing this as an adult, I appreciate all the new mechanics they've put in here. This is a great time. Plays marvelously. Biometal, aside from just being able to play a game to the Mortal Kombat theme song, this game actually has a good amount of challenge to it. You do have this meter that you can use to create these invincibility balls around you that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a challenging game, tons of fun, fills up the whole screen. Great. Now, going into vertical arcade shooters, they really do take advantage of this taller screen aspect ratio. You can see that most of the screen is taken up here. One issue is that the buttons are very loud. So in a game where you need to constantly push the buttons, you are going to annoy whoever is within earshot of you. You can program turbo through RetroArch in a lot of these, but some of them you actually don't want to, because you have different moves from holding the button, different moves from tapping it, and you need to utilize all of these different commands in order to do well in the game. So you may just want to play these alone or be prepared for people to be annoyed with you. Either way, I have never had a better experience playing any of these vertical shooters on any device. Basara 2 is a great vertical shooter. If you've never tried it, it's very satisfying to watch all the enemies explode. It does give a nice diversity of different opponents and challenges. It's just really great to see everything explode on the screen while you're dodging everything perfectly. Outstanding experience. Raiden Fighter's Jet, another one. If you like vertical arcade shooters, you should definitely try all these that I'm showcasing here. This one is marvelous. The button clacking is a little bit loud. I found in slower paced games it's not as bad, but when you are frantically pressing these buttons, they do get pretty noisy, I have to admit. I do map the turbo button to L2, so you hold L2 and then you push fire, and it will fire that as quickly as the game inputs will allow, and it does eliminate any of that annoying noise. I do finally do. And you can see that you can't hear any of the button clacking anymore. It's a lot better. It's always an option. There are tons of workarounds. I think any vertical arcade shooter will work marvelously on that. I did want to throw in a Game Boy Advance game because this is a little bit of a wider aspect ratio, 3:2, and I was a little worried that it wouldn't look so great on this device, but it does work great, and these controls work great with the Game Boy Advance. The same for Sega Genesis here. Exo Squad. I don't think I've ever played it beyond this first opening sequence. But it turns out there is a little bit of a story here that they try to throw at you. And you can also walk around as this weird little robot guy. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. The controls work great. Mischief Makers is a Nintendo 64 game that actually does take advantage of the 6-button layout on the Retroid Pocket Classic. You do use the C buttons a lot in this game, and you don't use the joystick. It actually does not input any commands on this game. So this is a uniquely amazing experience. You can pick up innocent bystanders, beat them up, rob them, and take their money. You can bully these kids at the park. What more do you want out of a game? And right here, you do use the C buttons as a boost, and I'm able to catch this little fucker right away. Again, when not using a Nintendo 64 controller, I've never had a better experience playing this game. Rampage, another one that accepts D-pad inputs, absolutely no problem. You play as this monster, you're destroying these cities, you're munching on all the little innocent people running around. Well, I mean, maybe they're innocent. Their soldiers gotta get eaten. Just a good time. Really good split screen co-op. There are Nintendo 64 games that are not perfect, but you can map the D-pad to be a joystick input. It does create some problems, though. I've actually never had this difficult of a time just getting to the top of the mountain in Super Mario 64. Honestly, it's like playing New Game Plus or something. If you want a new challenge, go ahead and try this. I can't even pick up the king to toss him on his ass. A little bit embarrassing, but I did finally get it. F-Zero X is one of the more demanding Nintendo 64 games to play, so I just played this to prove that any Nintendo 64 game will play fine. I'm playing this on RetroArch, and I do die, but I'll die with a joystick. No problem. Dreamcast also works very good. Any of the shoot 'em ups or fighting games are going to work just fine with the... I would say it's not perfect because it is better playing a lot of these games with the joystick, but controls on this device are so good that I definitely didn't mind playing it this way. Soul Calibur is my favorite fighting game series, and this was uniquely amazing to play on this device. It just looked great. You can upscale it as high as you want. The controls are so responsive and tactile and great views. I love it. While we're on Soul Calibur, let's just go ahead and try Soul Calibur 2. This device is powerful enough to play some GameCube. And it just runs marvelously. I could only play it at 1.5x resolution because you do get a little slowdown, and I don't want to have a really loud fan going on or the battery draining. Still, this is great. Contra for PS1, even though this is arguably the worst Contra game to ever come out, the controls are so good and work so well with PlayStation 1 that it was actually pretty enjoyable playing it on this. Well, I'm dead. But, you know, you just get the hang of things, and then I'm dead. Never mind. Next game. Marvel vs. Capcom. I always loved these games and wanted to be good at them, but I'm just not. I don't know. I think you actually have to practice this game, and I'm not really a practice video game type guy. I want it to be fun. I don't want to have a slog of the time, but that's okay. I can still kick Mega Man's ass, and the two moves that I know execute perfectly and feel great to do. I really can't gush enough about how well this device handles PlayStation 1 controls. It's way better than the original. It's perfect, in my opinion. Road Rash Jailbreak is a great game if you want to immerse yourself in the life of an average American police officer. You're going to find people who look suspicious and just try to beat the hell out of them, but you're not even good at that. It's really hard to hit people. What's going on here? And then as soon as you are finally about to get some of these supposed crooks, some idiot civilian gets in the way and hits you with the car. Man, this is hard to be a cop. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I feel like they kind of stepped it up in this game. They kind of slowed down on the survival horror aspect, and they just straight up give you a machine gun right off the bat so you can just kill it. Was that her? Did she just explode and get blown up? Anyway, doesn't matter. Shoot them down, move on. I've never played this game in such high fidelity with such great controls. You do have black bars on the top and bottom, but again, I didn't even notice it. The great door opening mechanics. Zombies wake up from your gunshots. This game was really great, and I don't know, I did a lot more walking around and exploring than I ever did playing this in the past, and just really enjoyed my time on this game while using this device.
Their job to make sure all your dreams are of the
40 Winks is kind of a semi-open world game where you're going into this little dream adventure, and really any PlayStation 1 game where you can go into the first-person view and look around in the world was absolutely amazing to me. It is a platformer, so you will have to get used to using a D-pad input, which is generally only an 8-way input. But you gotta remember, the PlayStation 1 controller, most of the controllers that people had were just with D-pads and buttons. So once you get the hang of it, it works totally fine. And it's a great experience to play. Pretty soon you'll be platforming with the best of us, and you'll find out that you don't really need a joystick for this game. Blasto is a truly amazing third-person shooter platformer game where you basically play as Johnny Bravo in space, and you're voiced by Phil Hartman, you know, Bill McNeil from News Radio. You gotta save these babes in cages. It's a little chauvinistic, but that's alright. It fits with the times. Look at this. As soon as you save them, they thank you. It tells you how many babes are remaining. What more do you want? And actually, this game does get pretty challenging once you get the strafing down, and tons of fun. A real hidden gem here. Definitely don't push this button. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to put it. Just kills you. And I'm dead. Persona 2. Now, Persona obviously makes very in-depth, story-driven RPGs with a lot of romantic options. It's very high school-esque here, but it's really cool to see how they created this 3D world operating within the limitations they had. And every single character in the game has some unique dialogue and personality to share with you. It's just, I must have played this for about 3 hours while getting this footage. Most of it was just spent walking around, talking to absolutely everybody, hearing their backstory. Really incredible. It doesn't take long before you realize it's actually a turn-based RPG. So this game has a lot to offer. I think it has tons of content. It's just outstanding. I'm gonna have to play this through on this device. Alundra is another great JRPG that came out, but you want to think of this one more as like Zelda. Although, unlike Zelda, you can actually jump in this game, which is kind of bizarre, but really adds a lot to it, in my opinion. There's tons of different dialogue options. You're this weird sailor boy that your ship gets destroyed instantly, and then you wash up on shore. It really gives you some strong Zelda vibes, but soon you walk around this town and people ask you to solve their problems, and you find out you have a Harry Potter scar on your forehead, but you get to chop down bushes and find money in them and then kill meaningless blobs. It didn't take long before I met some enemies that were a little too strong for me, and so, as usual, I'm dead. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Now, this is basically Resident Evil knockoff, but they really did a better job than Resident Evil did. It has the same fixed camera angles, the same type of directional input, the same type of combat, but I don't know, for me, it just feels a lot better and it's a lot more scary. So if you're a horror fan and you like Resident Evil at all, definitely give this game a try. It has the same inventory management. It's kind of satisfying to just select the right tool for the job instead of everything happening automatically in modern day games. You get all the dogs that you have to shoot. I never really feel good killing dogs, but hey, it's the dog-eat-dog world. Then this weird xenomorph creature teleports into here. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot more enemy variety and combat variety in this than the Resident Evil game offers. I figured I had killed this little Leviathan creature, but it turns out that I'm dead.
What?
Disruptor is kind of an evolution of Doom that came out for the PS1. It's a first-person shooter with all these live-action cutscenes, which are very cool and just nostalgic. It just operates very well as a simple first-person shooter. At first, you're shooting these robots, but then later you go into these more advanced arenas where you're fighting both biological enemies and robotic enemies. You have to use different weapons for each, and just using the controls on this device for PS1, I don't know, I just feel like this is the perfect PS1 emulation device. Heart of Darkness is an extremely challenging game that was very cinematic, came out on the PS1. It has this really cool art style, very good sound design, but damn, this game is heartless. It makes you watch these really annoying death animation sequences, and trust me, you're going to die a lot because this game is very unforgiving. It will shoot swarms of enemies at you that you have to kill, and it will kill you relentlessly. I almost didn't include this in the footage because I was so annoyed at how frequently I died, but I don't know. This is a lot of footage that I cut down just to create this amount of footage of me not dying. Oh, never mind. I'm dead. Still, a very unique game, very challenging. Great on this device.
Come on.
And that's it for today, folks. I would say that this is arguably the best device to play any games or systems that do not require a joystick input. And I had a great time playing every single game that I used to make this video. I could try to find more, but I don't know. That's already so many. I have a huge library of PS1 games that I really want to tap into that this device has really brought me to enjoy more than I ever have before. So I'm really looking forward to playing some more on here. Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance. Really, the list goes on. Between this device and the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, I do think you have pretty much every genre and system covered. I don't know. I'm not necessarily a minimalist, but these get the job done and the price is right. So if you're on the fence about buying the Retroid Pocket Classic and you want to play any of the systems I've showcased in this video, get it immediately. You will love it. Aside from that, until next time, OB out.